Good morning. Good morning. And happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
It is so good to be here together this morning. I love seeing all the people that come at Easter. It's great to have so many people here. Some of you are here every week. Some are visiting family. And some just feels like today is the right day to be at church. And whatever brought you, whether it's habit, hope, curiosity, or just a little bit of tradition, it is enough. You don't have to be anything other than what you are to belong here today. So the other day, I was talking with my 25-year-old daughter about all of the Easter services that we've been to over the years. We've been to midnight vigils, we've done sunrise services, small churches, big churches, and she brought up this one memory. She must have been 6 or maybe 7 years old, and we went to this huge church. I think it was even in a performance auditorium. And they were reenacting the Passion. So the sets, they were amazing, right? They had these landscapes, huge backdrops that had the landscapes painted on them, and it just puts you right there in the scene. And there's a full orchestra that added drama to the story. And as the music climaxed, this huge stone rolled away back from the enormous cave that was on stage. And then fog poured out into the open tomb, and the risen Jesus walked out to great shouts of joy and maybe a fire alarm. It was a great production, and it was super meaningful. It just puts you right there at the scene. And I tell you that here at St. Clair's, we do not have a fog machine, and we don't have stadium lights. But we don't need them, right? Because the Easter story, it's actually really, really simple. It's about a love that does not give up. It's a love stronger than fear, and that is stronger than violence, and even stronger than death. It's the same love that has been reaching out to humanity since the very beginning. And today we remember that even when the world says no to love, God says yes. And somehow, even now, this story, it finds its way into the world through bread and wine that we share here at this altar, through songs and prayers, tambourines, through ordinary people in small churches. And it's in every heart that is still holding on to hope. So wherever you find yourself this morning, whatever brought you here, I'm glad you're here for this great story of love that we tell each year on Easter. So from the very beginning, the story of God has been the story of love. God created the world out of love and called it good. And that love didn't fade when humanity failed or got lost. Instead, God stayed present, offering guidance and restoration and a way forward. And over time, that love kept reaching out through people and prophets, through poetry and promises, calling humanity into relationship. And then, in Jesus, God's love became fully visible. Jesus showed people that they mattered. He looked into their eyes and he saw them for who they were completely. He touched those that others avoided, and he ate with people that no one else would eat with. He welcomed women and children, foreigners and sinners. He listened and healed, forgave, and told stories that made room for everyone. And in every encounter, he made it clear, you are known, you are loved, and you belong. And this is the story that Easter belongs to. It is the story of a God who has always loved the world and still does. Jesus lived this life of radical love. He showed people their worth and lifted up the lowly and challenged systems that kept people down. He did not avoid conflict, but he also did not meet it with violence. He stayed true to the way of love, even when it cost him everything. And the cross is where this conflict came to a head. Power didn't know what to do with someone who couldn't be controlled. The world, as it was, said no to the kind of love that Jesus lived out. A love that welcomed outsiders and forgave enemies and called the proud to repent. It was really just too much. And so he was arrested, tried, and executed. To those watching that day, it must have looked like the end. Hope extinguished, and another dream crushed, and another voice silenced by fear and force. But Jesus was not powerless. He could have stopped it, right? He could have fought back. He could have called on all of the heavens to intervene. But he didn't. And he didn't because love doesn't work like that. Love never forces itself. One of the deepest truths of God's love is that it always honors our freedom. God does not coerce us, even in the most painful moments. And that's part of what makes love real. Jesus endured the cross, not because he had to, but because he chose to stay in love. He held open the possibility that we might one day turn toward that love freely. And the cross doesn't glorify suffering. It reveals the cost of love in a world that often resists it. And it reveals the heart of God, faithful, enduring, and unwilling to turn away, even when we do. And that's what brings us to Easter. Easter morning begins in grief. The women came to the tomb expecting death. They came with spices, with heavy hearts, and no real hope. Just the need to do what love requires when life has ended. But what they found is something no one expected. The stone was rolled away, the tomb was empty, and the message was simple, but world-shifting. He is not here. He is risen. The resurrection shows us something deeper than the end of death. It tells us that God's love cannot be silenced. When everything falls apart, love still remains. Death does not have the final word, and neither does fear, and neither does violence. Easter is God's resounding yes in the face of every human no. When humanity said, "We will not be changed by love," God said, "Then love will rise and meet you anyway." It's the moment that confirms everything Jesus said and did. It means the love that welcomed outcasts and healed the hurting and confronting injustice was not defeated. It was vindicated and it endures. And it still calls to us now. God didn't rise to prove a point or to start a religion. God rose to keep love moving forward, to keep luring the world towards healing, justice, mercy, and connection. The resurrection means that nothing, not even death, can stop the movement of love. And that movement is still unfolding, and we are still a part of it. Easter isn't just a story about something that happened long ago. It's a story that continues to unfold, and we're living in the middle of it. The same love that raised Jesus is still at work in the world. It calls and it heals. It invites. There is no pressure. There's no demands. It's just this quiet whisper, a steady pull, and a gentle nudge towards what is more whole, more honest, and more alive. Some people feel that moment in big, dramatic ways, and others feel it quietly, like the sense that there must be more, or the longing for something deeper, or the tug to return to something they once knew. And however it comes, it's real. God is still in love with the world, and God is still drawing us towards that love, not with fear or force, but with tenderness and freedom. And that is how love works. It doesn't push or coerce. It waits and it reaches. It opens the door. And maybe the most important thing to remember is that you don't have to understand everything to be a part of it. You don't need perfect faith or polished answers, just a heart that is willing to stay open to love. That's all it takes. Easter reminds us that no matter how far we've wandered, and no matter how much the world is hurting, and no matter how uncertain the road ahead may be, that love still rises. Love still reaches, and love still has the power to make us new. So today, let this be more than a holiday. Let it be a reminder that God is still in love with this world, that love has never stopped reaching for us, and the resurrection wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something that is still unfolding, even now. And may you leave today with hope that feels just a little more possible. May you sense the quiet tug of love drawing you closer. And may you know deep down that nothing can separate you from the love of God. Alleluia. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Alleluia.